As the games industry continues to be one of the most lucrative entertainment mediums of all, it has an adverse effect on how developers assemble their products. Industry veteran Keith Fuller noted that only 10% of gamers actually finish a game, and the remainder will never see the end unless they watch a clip on YouTube. As such, whether it be intentional or otherwise, the following games open with genuine firework displays of perfected potential, only to fall off the deep end as the credits roll. I'm Scott from WhatCulture.com, and these are 7 video games that totally fell apart after incredible openings. Number 7, Fahrenheit/Indigo Prophecy. Remember the first time you played this? The sheer Homer Simpson-style confusion? What do I do? What do I do? Seeing protagonist Lucas Kane murder a man in a trance only for gameplay to switch control to you was a genius setup. Do you try and drag the corpse to an unseen place, mop up the blood, make a run for it? It really was up to you, and the tone of the scene set us up for a gritty thriller, especially as other playable detectives could then be piloted to find specific clues. Then it all went to sh*. Turns out Lucas was some chosen one for an ancient mystical cult, one that was at war with the walking, all-murdering embodiment of the internet. Yes, really, and you thought Hideo Kojima's plots were ridiculous. Number 6, God of War 3. By the time you hit the midpoint in God of War 3, it almost felt like your drunken friend who's getting a little bit too physical on a night out. Look, we've all had some fun, but can you please stop trying to start a fight? You're being a bit of a dick. But in God of War 3 especially, that was Kratos. He was a real dick. Having formally butchered his entire family by accident, God of War 3 saw the angry Spartan go from being, well, I can see why you'd be a bit miffed, to, that's just uncalled for. Suddenly, Kratos was slaughtering even the friendly titans that were trying to help him. He was sleeping with chained-up slave Hephaestus' wife Aphrodite before killing him too, and was last seen throwing other slaves into cog machines to stop them working. Following an ace introduction where Kratos was but a speck amongst a sea of gods and titans, the back half of God of War 3 was a mess of character motivation and sporadically gory, seen-it-all-before spectacle. Number 5, Condemned Criminal Origins. Rather like Fahrenheit, Condemned established itself wondrously. A first-person detective thriller where a killer's on the loose, you've got a number of gadgets and forensic items to use, and you're the only man for the job. Monolith would have to try mighty hard to mess that up, and they did. How? By bringing in a load of shockingly misplaced supernatural elements. A sense of madness infecting the city? Yeah, that'll be the creature called The Hate, which also doubles as an over-the-top final boss battle. The biggest kick was the ending as well, which was a cliffhanger and implied that hero Ethan was actually the next embodiment of The Hate, showing him half morph into it right before a cut to black. Condemned 2 would go even further down this path, eventually giving Ethan supernatural vocal cords that let you shout enemies' heads off. There's a reason nobody made Condemned 3. Number 4, BioShock Infinite. Critically acclaimed though it may be, I've always thought BioShock Infinite exemplified a troubled development. A very well thought out introductory sequence does set up a sense of place in the cloud-topped city of Columbia, only for nothing else about the game to make thematic or even contextual sense. The tonics that worked in the underwater city of Rapture, because scientists and freethinkers gone mad would develop such things, now appear to be sold as commodities in Columbia's highbrow society. Meeting the villainous Comstock after hours and hours of game time was totally flat as well, because our hero Booker killed him in a cutscene before anything could be said. In addition, combat had some genuinely infuriating scenes where you were beset by hulking bullet sponges like the Handyman, and that was before the ending twist flipped the entire franchise on its head, seemingly as a way to outdo the original game's Andrew Ryan twist. Number 3, Batman Arkham Knight. Rocksteady sure know how to make an entrance. Being called upon by Jim Gordon, flying across rain-swept Gotham, signaling the Batmobile and blowing the holy hell out of a puny gangster car, what it lacked in pathos, Arkham Knight more than made up for through sheer fan-pleasing escapist thrills. Then the story unraveled, revealing itself to be nothing like what was advertised. The titular Arkham Knight was by no means a complete new character, and it was a fact rubbed in as the Joker repeatedly popped up instead. The Clown Prince, having been declared dead by Rocksteady multiple times, was ostensibly the main villain all over again, appearing in Batman's psyche over and over and over, getting the most screen time other than Batman himself. 3 terrible encounters with the Arkham Knight later, including one twitchy as hell underground car chase, and all that initial goodwill had fizzled away to nothing. Number 2, Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty. Personally, I adore Metal Gear and all its East meets West insanity, but Hideo Kojima does love to drop things in and just go with them. Within the space of just a couple of hours, the entire final third of Metal Gear Solid 2 goes from tactical espionage action to Raiden discovering he's part of an AI simulation, fighting an ex-president of the US on the roof of Federal Hall, having it explained that said AI was born as the living embodiment of American patriotism, before ending with a 20-minute philosophical explanation of how to live his life. All of this after the incredibly solid tanker section that remains jaw-droppingly gorgeous and detailed to this day. Eesh. Number 1, Final Fantasy X. There's something about Final Fantasy X. It's stilted, badly performed voice acting.
Is everybody okay?
The sphere grid system of unlocking new abilities and moves. You either loved it or you hated it. One thing that's nigh on incomprehensible though is the story overall. If you actually remember it vividly enough, throw down in the comments below. As far as I can tell, following a sick intro where you get blasted to Kingdom Come by an entity known as Sin, you're then transported 1,000 years into the future, befriend a number of fellow warriors, discover you're a spiritual entity descended from across countless millennia, fall in love, realize your friend is a ghost, battle a near immortal dude called Seymour, find out your father is a giant space whale, and kill it. I mean, look, it was all fun, but as far as the rails go, Final Fantasy X was off in its own parallel dimension where locomotive transport hadn't even been invented.